Quiet Place Part 2. It's the new film by Krasinski, and today we're going to be talking about it. Is it as good as the first, or is it a letdown? Now, to start this video off, I'm going to be talking about the first Quiet Place. Plot-wise, it has its flaws, but as a film, it's pretty engrossing. The scares and filmmaking are just immersive enough to keep you entertained, and I'd give it a solid 7 out of 10. I think we can all agree that it's pretty surprising that the guy from The Office can bring us such an immersive horror film, and even in part 2, the filmmaking is still just as good. I especially loved the opening scene. Every single footstep was felt, the sound design was so immersive, and it just shows the stakes of what's about to happen, how we take so much sound for granted, and how much our characters can mess up and get killed. Add to that some intense cinematography where the camera is always with our characters. It's so immersive and scary, and easily the peak of the film. But when talking about the first Quiet Place film, an essential part of that movie was the family aspect, which is something that the director spoke about a lot as the reason why he was so interested in telling this story. And that family aspect is definitely what raises the film to be something more than just your cheap horror thriller. But A Quiet Place Part 2 is severely lacking in that aspect and doesn't feel like there's any progression in the story or the characters. And so I think we should just get into my main criticism with the film, which is that it's pretty pointless. Not only is the story paper thin, but there's no character work to back it up. Not a single character changes or progresses throughout this story, and granted, at the start of 2, they have progressed from where they were at the end of 1, but every single character is the same at the end of this film as they were at the beginning of the film. And it just hurts even more because pretty much every character is pointless anyway. The only characters that really do anything are the daughter character and Cillian Murphy's character. The mother and the other children literally just feel like they're there to pad time. They don't accomplish anything, which makes me wonder, why bother introducing Cillian Murphy when you could just have the rest of the family join the daughter in her quest? As I said, the family being together was the best part of the first film, so take that away, and you're not left with a lot. It basically just feels like the first and at most second act of a bigger story. It really wouldn't surprise me if we found out that they had one big idea for a sequel, but then they realised it was too long, so they decided to split it into 2 and then a future third film. My first thought as soon as the credits came was, is that it? And it really says something when a film can be as short as 90 minutes and still feel like there's so much wasted space in it. Even the cross-cutting sequences, which feel quite Nolan-esque, feel like they're just there to waste time. The second one towards the end of the film is kind of impressive, but the first one sort of halfway through just feels really unmotivated. So we've got the son character, the mother, and then Cillian Murphy and the daughter. Cillian Murphy and the daughter are the only people that are actually in potential danger, the only people where the stakes are rising, whereas the mother and the son, the camera's just kind of following them wandering around and there's no sense that they're in any danger. So while the music is rising and we see Cillian Murphy and the daughter be in danger, they're just kind of left feeling underwhelming and unnecessary. I didn't even understand what the son was doing, it just felt like the director threw him in there to show how impressive his direction could be. And because of the lack of depth compared to the first film, all of the problems that I did have with the first film just feel all the more potent because there's nothing to distract me this time. The dialogue was pretty cliche, there were a lot of dumb character moments. Even the sudden ending that the first film also had felt way more underwhelming than it did before, because last time it came at the end of this big change that the family went through and it got me pumped up to see what would happen next. Whereas this time, nothing's really happened or changed, it just feels like a bunch of nothing, and then once something is about to happen, the film just ends. Overall, to wrap up my thoughts on this film, there was some good acting, a few good sequences, some good direction, but the story really let this film down. That seems to be kind of a theme with these quickfire reviews so far. To sum it up, A Quiet Place Part 2 isn't a terrible movie, it's just a really pointless one, and I'd give it a 4 out of 10. So guys, what did you think about A Quiet Place 2? Did you have the same issues as me, or did you enjoy it as much or if not more than the second one? Leave your comments down below, and while you're down there don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.